Advocacy Council.
Good Friday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Less wind today, partly to mostly sunny near 50, northwest wind about 10-12 miles per hour. Mostly clear light winds tonight, 25 to 32. Partly to mostly sunny in the low 40s Saturday, chance of rain showers in the mid-30s Saturday night. Clouds and rain showers in the mid-40s for Sunday. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. US Congress has met briefly without being able to end the now week-long government shutdown. Police in Iceland haven't been able to talk yet to injured passengers in a crash which killed 3 tourists. Austrian authorities are searching for 2 men suspected of robbing a church in Vienna and injuring 5 monks in the process. And China and the US will hold trade talks in the new year in an attempt to resolve their trade war.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Kobila Jones, and my special guests today are Mrs. Emma Agnew and Mr. Cornelius Moore Jr. Thank you all for joining us today for our Kwanzaa edition, day 3.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. All right, so our topic for today is Ujima, or Ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. Before we get into that, I would like each of you to please give us, our listeners and viewers out there, a brief description of who you are and what you do in the community. Ladies first.
You're right.
All right, well, I'm Emma Agnew, and most people know me from working with the city of Jonesboro, from which I retired in March of this year.
Okay.
So I'm no longer with the city, but at the city, I was a community development manager that worked in coordination with the community, sort of as a go-between between community and elected officials, government officials. But the main thing is that we work to encourage individuals to come together as community, that using their collective voice as a community, that they can get things accomplished that they never would have imagined. And so that's probably the main thing. Wear some other hats. I have a travel agency now, and I'm involved with the NAACP and the Cricket County Democratic Party.
All right. Okay. I know at one point you were very active with the NJ&I, North Jonesboro Neighborhood Initiative. Will we see some re-emergence of that?
We're hoping so. We're working on it.
Okay.
It's a perfect example of community that, we'll probably talk about a little bit later. So we're hoping to.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Cornelius.
All right. My name is Cornelius Moore Jr., Forest City native, third-year educator, married to the lovely Catherine Moore, and I have 4 wonderful children. I am a member of the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and I am also the executive director of the Gears Foundation here in Jonesboro as well. Most of you may know some of our work from dealing with the Kappa League here in Jonesboro. And also just some other community initiatives that we have between both groups. So that's a little bit about me.
All right. All right, well, thank you so much. I want to say good morning to everyone out there that's watching and listening. I can't see who all of you are, but good morning, Miss Chelsea. If you are on live feed, drop us a message or join the conversation, or give us a call in the studio at 870-277-1080. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into our discussion for today. The first question is, what are some ways that you try to encourage individuals to work together to help increase the quality of life for all? We'll start with ladies first.
Right.
Okay.
No
Don't be
problem with
ladies.
that.
Don't be ladies first all day.
Yeah.
Well, one way is, I think it's such a great example is, NJNI that we talked about before, which is a community engagement initiative is what it's called. And this is a movement that has become popular across the country. But the idea is that residents in marginalized communities, minority communities, have to learn to speak up for themselves.
Okay.
So often we are accustomed to other folk making decisions for us,
Yes, ma'am.
telling us what should happen, ignoring what's going on. And so the idea is for communities to just come together as a community and speak up using their collective voice and say, this is what we want. We don't want that in our neighborhood. This is what we want in our neighborhood.
Right.
This is what we need. We don't need what you're talking about. We need something else. This is what we want. And we have come together. We have petitions of folk who have signed, and present that to the proper authorities. The biggest thing is to be prepared.
Yes.
To make sure that you have come together and that you have signatures, petitions, and come together as a group to make that presentation.
Okay.
And one thing I wanted to, even put out right now, even with because I deal with youth, one of the main objectives, I'd say, is how to enhance the community in which they live, even at an early age.
Right.
I try to partner, the youth that I work, the youth males for that matter,
Okay.
with the local chapter of the NAACP under Brother Kirby Newsom.
Okay.
So I was trying to figure out how we could partner with them to raise their consciousness and also teach them how to use their voice. A lot of the problems with youth is that their articulation, they may feel a certain way about a subject, or something that's happening in the community or at large, but not necessarily know how to articulate it. And so in a way that they are taken serious.
Okay.
And so I would love to talk more about that, even if it's off, because what you're doing in the North Jonesboro, initiative is, I've been in Jonesboro since 1999, and primarily being a college student, we're on the north side. And so, typically when we go get our apartments, when we go and get different things like that, it's like in the north part of Jonesboro, because that's the most communal part of Jonesboro for us. And so, and now I was looking at a lot of different things. It was like, there's a lot of landscape, there's a lot of opportunity here. Where is the voice for it?
Right.
So
right.
I think what you guys are doing, is definitely. I know the youth would like to be a part of that. They just don't necessarily know how. So.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And it really, I will tell you that you're looking at the incoming president of the NAACP.
Oh wow!
So,
Okay.
we can connect with the NAACP and North Jonesboro.
Exactly.
So I think that's a wonderful thing. We're always looking to get young people involved.
Absolutely.
And the community in general, but definitely we welcome the involvement and support of young people. As I said, we're really trying to reorganize and refocus. At one point, Quabila, when you were involved, and when most folk were involved, the NJNI was under the city of Jonesboro.
Okay.
And now it's a part of Crowley's Ridge Development Council.
Okay.
And my good friend Tony Thomas over there. Shout out to Tony Thomas.
Right. Good
Yeah.
man there.
So they are the nonprofit, for which we fall under. So we're working with them to, and we've got some things in the works and some things going. So,
Okay.
hopefully that will reemerge,
Okay.
Right.
sometime soon with the help of people like Mr. Moore here. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
And then along with that, I have created a program through KLEK called Camp Radio, which incorporates youth involvement. It's a youth involvement engagement initiative. Not creating a new program, but engaging with the youth from his organization and other youth-centered organizations. And then they'll also have a chance to come on the radio, have a monthly show to voice their concerns. And so it will give them that space to say what they need to say from their perspective so that we, the adults, can then implement what they need.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
So that's great.
I'll make sure to definitely give you all that information. So I'm going to keep plugging that. So our first show will be the end of January.
Okay, great.
That's pretty soon.
All right. I want to say good morning to Miss Oya. Hope I pronounced that right. Yolanda Brown, she said thank you for this forum. And Tanisha Westmoreland says, all right, Mrs. Emma.
Hey, Tanisha.
All right. Our next question, or comment, talking point, explain from your experience how we can get more done together than separately. And give some examples of some things that you've seen happen within the city, within the community, rather.
Yes. Wow. I think there's a lot of things that we have to address as a culture before we start to see any type of progress. I think some conversations that need to be had, unpopular anyway, because as a culture we have some things that we tend to operate in as far as the mentality, before we even get to collective work, even the responsibility, accountability of that. And so, what we would like to do is one thing, but then we have to address what's keeping us from doing that. Because we have plenty of people with ideas, and that's all well and good. Because even with the youth mentor group that I work for with Kappa League, you're trying to take a mindset and develop it, expose it. And so a few things through servanthood, things like that, giving back to the community. We would definitely like to see more of that, but I think the follow through is what's going to be the Achilles heel, if I can use that, for progression and sustainability. So some of the things that we've even attempted to do in the community, we serve during Thanksgiving. We participate, like I said, with the food bank, and we do different community service things like that, which involves not only our program, but we reach out to other Divine Nine youth programs and say, hey, we don't want to just do this ourselves. We had a winter coat drive, and we had in excess of like 200 plus. It may have even been more than that, because we just kind of lost count. And some of them that because we had to go through it and make sure that they were good. So we had a lot of successes with partnerships and things like that, with the AK's youth and the Delta's youth group, and trying to expand on that as the time as the years progress. How can we make that bigger, even with serving Thanksgiving dinner at the St. Bernard's Auditorium? We always try to involve different organizations that have the same objectives, instead of trying to go at it lone wolf, because you can do more if you involve other organizations.
And this is where these 7 principles come into play. And there's also a book published, I found it on Amazon. It's called Kwanzaa 24/7 or Kwanzaa 365. Basically putting into practice all these principles all year round, not just for one time of the year. And what you were, going back to what you were talking about, before we can work together, we need to believe in something and believe in ourselves. Well, that's where the principle Kuji Chagulia, self-determination. First, you got to know who you are.
Exactly.
Before you can be a part of any group and just, work within a group. And then also that ties into Imani, which means faith, which we'll get onto, New Year's Day. To believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. So if we incorporate all these principles within ourselves and in within our community, we can then start to see some things happening collectively. But it's going to take individuals wanting to adopt these principles and wanting to be better for themselves and then be better for their community. And they take responsibility.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. One thing that I've noticed with Beulah is that, think about the population of Jonesboro. I mean, it has been growing since I've come in '99, of course. It's almost like you see it. You see it growing, and you see the architecture is just going. A lot of different things are happening. One thing I believe that's going to help us as a community of people is that we rally behind some of the organizations, exactly like the North Jonesboro Initiative. Is that we don't have to recreate something that already is. So I think that when that happens, you weaken the support that you could get because you have to distribute it through so many different channels. And so it's it seems like everybody has a something, but we all have the same idea, and so why do we need to recreate something that already is? And so it's you may have your specific organization or whatever for your specific purpose, but forward thinking. I think this is how a lot of our for those generations past, how they got a lot of things done is that if once they realized where they can put their assets or they can put their strength, then they put it into something that was already presented instead of saying I needed something with my name on it. So and I hate to have to be, to bring that out, but we are talking about talk about collective work.
Yeah, I'd like to weigh in on that. I want to first of all offer up a local example that happened with the North Jonesboro Initiative was the issue of sidewalks in North Jonesboro. And so there was a group within the initiative that decided we want to advocate for more sidewalks in North Jonesboro. So they got together and decided to do a public safety day, and that was a great opportunity for them to go out and collect signatures, about, eventually about sidewalks. How you felt about sidewalks, if you thought there were enough sidewalks, et cetera, et cetera. And they collected over 500 signatures. Wow. And in the middle of August for about 4 or 5 hours. And so those signatures and a group presented those to the city council and made a talk about needing more sidewalks in their neighborhoods. And they've been working on sidewalks over there ever since. They immediately, I think the next year, put about $400,000 into sidewalks in North Jonesboro. And they are continuing to add sidewalks in North Jonesboro. Yes. And so that, to me, is just a perfect example. And it wasn't a whole lot of people. A lot of times folk think you have to have tons of folk. You don't have to have a whole lot of people to make your voice heard. You can get you a good group together that's committed and serious and reach out to the larger community, and you can get things done. But I also want to remind us that when we talk about community, we are not just talking about a community in Jonesboro. This is Kwanzaa is an African American holiday. So we're talking about community everywhere, the community of African Americans. And so as we look back in the 60s and 70s, you talk about getting stuff done when you work together. The Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, integration, desegregation. You know, all of that was about coming together as a community of people.
Yes, ma'am.
And saying, this is what we want, this is what we need. So we have to remember that sometimes opportunities come that aren't local for us to participate in and be involved in, and we have to take advantage of that as well. So there are a lot of opportunities now with the political climate and other things going on that give us an opportunity to join with our brothers and sisters in the whole country to effect change.
Yes, ma'am. When I was in one of my previous classes, I did research on, my research project for the year was the civil rights movement, and I ran across an article about a man who lived in Chicago, but he had some friends that lived in Alabama, and so he took upon himself, and he was not black, and he went down and marched with them and joined the different events that were happening concerning civil rights, whatever was going on with that in that time frame. And so, like you said, there are opportunities that are not always within our backyard. There's someone else, but then it has a trickle effect. It has a domino effect, I guess you say, to benefit everyone around. You know, however far it may reach. So
yeah, there are lots of ways to be involved. You know, as Cornelius was saying, there are just tons of ways for you to get involved. Everybody should be involved somehow.
Somehow.
Find something that you can be passionate about, where you can express yourself, where you can explore, find who you are.
Exactly.
And get involved in doing that.
okay.
So I encourage everybody to get involved. These are wonderful principles, and they all tie together. And I'll shut up so you can go to break.
All right, so we're going to get ready to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about how we can incorporate our younger generation into the discussion and our collective work and responsibility. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
When's the best time for marriage counseling? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. The best time for marriage counseling is before you need it. Marriage counseling teaches couples how to work through their differences, communicate better, and solve problems in their relationship. So, why don't more people do it? Well, many couples feel that their private life should be just that, private. They feel there's a stigma associated with seeking counseling, but there are times when a third-party perspective is just what the doctor ordered. Take a moment and ask your spouse to evaluate your relationship. And if you think you might need counseling, you probably do. For more, check out markmerrill.com. And remember, your family first.
Want to connect with Mark on Facebook? You can at facebook.com/Mark Merrill. The Family Minute with Mark Merrill, helping families love well.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a non-profit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Let us keep Christmas holding it close to our hearts, for its meaning never ends, and its spirit is the warmth and joy of remembering friends. Merry Christmas and every happiness in the new year from Craighead County Tax Collector Wes Eddington.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyers.com.
The Craighead County Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Parade Committee will host the annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Explosion Parade and Celebration January 20th and 21st. The theme is Unity. The Youth Explosion will take place Sunday, January 20th at 3:30 p.m. at the Jonesboro High School Auditorium. The MLK Parade will begin Monday, January 21st, with participants lining up at 9:30 a.m. and the parade starting at 11 a.m. at the Arkansas State University Armory. The MLK program will begin at noon at the Arkansas State University Fowler Center. The keynote speaker will be Dr. Logan Hampton, president of Lane College. More information is available via Dr. Ray Scales at 870-897-3076 or Deidre Jones at 870-819-7301.
The Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was established on June 28, 1997 by 13 dynamic women who accepted the challenge of chartering the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter. Today, the chapter continues to impact the Jonesboro community by sponsoring programs such as the Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Breakfast, Community Back to School Bash, Delta Academy, Voter Registration Drive, and Autism Awareness. Our focus correlates with the national theme, Joy in Our Sisterhood, Power in Our Voice, and Service in Our Hearts. Our chapter supports Delta's 5-point programmatic thrust: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. More information about the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is available at www.jonesboroalumnidst.org or via email jonesboroalumni@live.com.
KLEK 102.5 FM wants to be active in the community. If you or your organization is hosting a community service event, we would like to know about it and be a part of it. KLEK will promote your event on air, online, and on social media. KLEK personalities may also attend the event and provide music and or entertainment. Certain restrictions and availability may apply. If you or your organization would like to partner with KLEK to make the Jonesboro community a better place, call 870-277-1080 or email us at klek@klekfm.org. In order for a community announcement or church announcement to be aired on KLEK 102.5 FM, we ask that the announcement be sent at minimum 1 week in advance. Thank you for supporting KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I want to say good morning to all of our listeners and viewers out there.
Good morning.
Good morning to Mrs. Catherine Chandler Moore, who says, excellent so far. Great conversation. Good morning, Ms. Quinta Border Smith. And Ms. Chelsea Chapman says, good morning. And good morning, Helen Scott. All right, so we're going to keep the conversation rolling. Okay, in what ways, how can we as adults drive the importance of this message home to the generations behind us, the ones that are coming up behind us? When we talked about what we can do as adults, we could talk about that all day long, what we need to do, but we also have to think about the younger ones that they already don't have a solid sense of self. So how can we drive this message home, that why this is important, why collective work and responsibility and building up the community, increasing the quality of life is important?
Well,
right. So we got it going on.
I think, I was thinking this morning, as I was trying to get, my mind in this mode of talking about this is, when I was growing up, and I'm sure there are many more. Sister Chandler can relate to this. The whole community raised us.
Yes, ma'am. I lived in that area.
Right. The whole community, it wasn't simply on a single mom or the parents. We were raised by everybody.
Yes.
If we got in trouble at school, when you got home, you got in trouble all over again. If you did something in the community, somebody was going to notice and say something to your parents, and you were going to be dealt with accordingly. But
on the spot and at home.
Right, but we don't do that anymore. So I think the first thing we have to do is get back to the sense of feeling like we are a community, that we are responsible for our young people, how they grow up and how they think.
Exactly.
A lot of times now we're halfway scared of of some of them. You know, you want to say something and you think, I don't want to say nothing. They may curse me out.
Exactly. Looking on YouTube and Facebook videos.
Yeah, so but you know, we've got to learn to take a chance on our children. You know, take that chance and, you know, step up and say something. Young lady, you don't need to be talking like that in public. So I think the first thing we have to do is get back to raising our children as a community, and then we have to educate them. You know, once we build a relationship with them where we can talk to them, we have to educate them. We have to share with them. We don't share with them. A lot of kids don't know anything about the civil rights movement.
Exactly.
They think this world has always been this way.
Right.
We don't share our history. We have to share our stories with them. We have to tell them our stories. We have to share our history, our culture, and all of those things to give them some pride and self-esteem. A lot of young people these days don't realize where they come from and who they are, that they come from a line of kings and queens, that they're royalty.
Exactly.
You know, so we have to pass those stories and that history on down to them to help build them up and share this culture and our history with them. So I think it's a thing of getting back to community and raising our children and then educating our children.
And then that goes back to the discussion we had yesterday about self-determination. On this particular website, there were some resolutions, and one was, I will be a living example for those around me.
It's biblical.
It is. It is.
It's the Bible. It's biblical. Yeah.
So we expect our children to walk in a certain line, walk a certain path. We have to be those living, breathing examples and show them what it means to work together, to live together, to be responsible for ourselves and each other.
I think, you know, especially as parents, we have to, one of the principles that I live by being, you know, I have 4 children, and one of the things I keep, you know, ever before me is my kids didn't ask to be here. And so I have one that's 21, I have one 18, I have one that's 12, one is getting ready to be 5.
Wow.
Exactly. Right. And especially with my son, he's the oldest, and even though he's 21, I say, son, you're figuring out a whole lot of things. So I say, but this is the thing. This is my responsibility to you. I will not send you out into society unprepared. You will not leave my house until I feel like that you are ready to take on the world. I said, because if I send you out there unprepared, the world is designed to eat you up, and they're not going to look at you. They're going to look at where you come from. And so, and even with that, I teach him about, you know, responsibility, you know, because at this age, a lot of his choices, you know, he makes a lot of his own choices. And so I'm here to help guide. And I think that especially the black men in the community, we have to take our position, you know, even if it's not your child, it's, you know, you have to have a sense of responsibility. And I think what's happening, we have a lot of laziness going on in our community, or somebody will get it, or somebody will talk to them, but how come you can't, why can't you be the one to go and have that conversation? And you have to remember that you were once their age, and so they may not seem like they are interested in what you're saying, but they're little sponges. And so you realize that, you know, you keep pouring that knowledge and that wisdom, you know, they may, you know, buck against you initially, just like we did. You was like, oh my God, I hated assemblies, because I say all they're gonna do is get up there and talk. Now I love being out of class, but I hated, you know, sitting through a whole lecture, you know, and, you know, if you think about it, on Sunday mornings, sometimes we'll be like, oh my God, you know, Pastor Urban because, you know, we love information, but we hate by which it comes. And so I think we have to really put our youth in position to, for us to really, you know, pour into them. And it just takes a little bit at a time. If not, then we'll have community of, just laziness, lackadaisical attitude, not necessarily, progressive thinkers. One of the things, even with our school systems, one of the main things they took away from some of the assignments is, I don't know if y'all remember this, but at the bottom of the worksheets, and you had a critical thinking problem, and it's like, you can finish the whole worksheet, then you got down to that last problem, and it caused you to really, use all your brain cells. And so we have to, really get back to critically thinking about the different aspects of life, politically, economically. How can we, train our kids, or we'll really uproot some of the bad, thinking and ideas from before.
I'm gonna make a statement that may be controversial, but it goes directly to what you were talking about critical thinking. A lot of our children don't know how to think critically.
Exactly.
And they don't because their parents don't. But there is a small, I don't know how large it is, but a small segment of folk who I think I lean more toward that thinking that that's where integration hurt us. When we had black schools, black teachers,
talk about it.
Black communities, schools within the community, those teachers took time with us. They made sure we learned how to solve problems on our own and to think critically, among some other things. Exactly. But I'm just saying, I think that's a byproduct of losing some of that. Now, there was a lot gained also. But I'm saying, I think one of the things that we lost is that teacher, because I think most folk would agree with me that when integration first started, 95% of those white teachers didn't really care whether little black girls like me got it or not.
Right.
Now it got better as things progressed. It got somewhat better. But when you come out of a system, where you got a teacher who would come over to your house if you were having trouble getting it, come see mama and daddy, call mama and daddy and say, this is what's going on, this is what we need to do, who would, give you that one-on-one time in class, keep you after class if needed to sit down and explain things to you. So, I think my generation and some of the others learned critical thinking more so than some of these newer folk, because it's really something, I don't know that you can teach it, but you can encourage it and exercise it, make folk exercise their brain.
Right.
And we all have it, I think. It's just the more that you use it, the more you forget. And I'll get off my soapbox.
And I think as it relates to the educational part, especially with black teachers, post integration, is that it's economical, and you can still see it today. If you are economically, we've been trying to get at least to middle class. And there's been a lot that have been able to surpass that class, but we know that educators are not paid sufficient for what they're worth, and so we look past education as it pertains to our career, even though we may see like the need for black educators in our community. We look past that because we say it will not sustain us, in our economical pursuits, and so we look for other areas. Think about it. When we go to school, we just look at the salary potential, and most teachers, they come out of pocket a whole lot more than their salary would permit, and so that's not attractive when it comes to our black teachers. And so and then the loopholes and the different ladders that you have to climb, even in the in that arena, it's turning a lot of people off. And so you actually have to want to be a teacher. You have to already have known for some time that no matter what, you are going to be an educator. And so I think those are some of the things that plague us as far as, not having, well, like I say, post integration, back at that particular point in during that segregation, it was like, in order to get at least on a level playing field, we have to take that responsibility as far as education. Even in the pulpit, the preacher was responsible for more than just teaching you the Bible.
Right.
The preacher was a teacher, of different curriculum, and so it was just more of a attitude of responsibility. And so even today, we have to really represent that notion that we have to get back to educating, starting in the home. It has to start in the home. And then, as we send our children out, that they're prepared, because if not, then it's going to swallow them up.
Yeah, that's why it's so important for the community to help raise our children.
Yes.
We have to all take responsibility.
I want us to get back to this village mindset. And if, we focus on the Kwanzaa principles and how it helps links us to our African culture and our African heritage and ancestors. They lived in villages where everyone looked out for everyone.
Right.
And I would love for us to get back or get more into that of looking out for everyone, not just your immediate blood family, not your next door neighbor, but everyone. You see someone in need, help them where you can. And those who don't want or to do better, and I was going to read some of that. I found some other information to share, and it says that no adult is responsible for those who will not. Those who will not must bear the responsibility of their choices, not expect others to shoulder them. Those who are able must never feel responsible for those who refuse to pull their own weight. We must show them how, but never do it for them. To do so reduces your own effectiveness. It causes you to bear a disproportionate amount of weight. You will collapse and be unable to help those who cannot. So we know in every society there's going to be those who just simply will not. They just going to be stuck.
Every community has those.
And that's in every case.
Yeah.
I mean, in everything we do, there are people who just will not. But I think it's important for us to, if we really are concerned about the community, is to try to figure out why.
Okay.
Why is there resistance to change or to helping yourself? Because a lot of times there is something that went on in my life, that is going on in my life, that has affected me so. I feel like, where I am is the only place I can be.
Okay.
And so I think as a community, I agree we don't need to get in the habit of enabling people and doing things for them. But I think we need to drill down a little further and try to find out, why people are acting the way they do. And this is, another issue, that we as a community of African Americans, we don't believe in professional help for our psychiatric problems. So a lot of times we're trying to deal with problems. We've always trusted the church and the Bible, which is good. I trust it a lot, but sometimes we need professional help. We need someone we can talk things to who has been trained in that area and respond back. So a lot of times people are dealing with issues that they just need some help with. Okay. So I'd like to, I agree that we don't need to be doing things for folk, but I do think we need to drill down a little further and be a little more compassionate about why they are where they are.
Yeah, I think we have a general idea of just some of the situations that I witnessed, that we witnessed on Facebook, and seasonally, as it pertains to the fall. You have around Thanksgiving, Christmas. A lot of the community or the village mentality, it comes out then. But I think that you're asking about systematically, throughout the year, in March or July, something like that. What can we do? Just because. And I think that it encourage those that have those ideas to come out, to bring them out, and say, hey, is this something that the community would, can benefit from? Then, let's rally support behind it. I know I've been talking with a lot of other D9 presidents, fraternity, sorority presidents, and we all have the same, concept idea about communalism, but we're yet trying to framework what we can do to push that initiative. And I think if we can, get to a place where, beyond whatever letters we have, it's just about being, in the African American community. What can we do from our youth all the way up into our elderly? See, even with our elderly, what can we do to make sure that we are taking care of them, that they're getting the service and the care and the resources that they need at this latter part of their lives. So there's a wide range of things that, we can address. But I think that, once we have the ideas, to start, navigating through what resources will allow us to do that effectively. And so I think the mindset is there. I think slowly but surely it's coming. It's being revealed. It's coming out. But like Sister Adenu said, the mental health aspect of our community that needs to be addressed as well. And I think holistically, the whole person, we can definitely start seeing some progress, and then encourage them to actually come back and pour back into the community themselves. So.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, we have a couple of Facebook comments. We're going to get ready for break here soon. Ms. Quina Border-Smith says, we're also dealing with children raising children, parents wanting to be BFF and not parent. Ms. Lachey Robinson says, yes, ma'am, there's nothing wrong with seeking help in regards to counseling. And then Mrs. Smith says, awesome conversation. We have to honestly deal with the elephant in our community and take bites out of it. Yes, ma'am.
Amen.
So with that, we're going to go to our break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our discussion. You're tuning into Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. This is our Kwanzaa edition. We're discussing Ujima, which means collective working responsibility. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Before you take on the title of landlord, check out these tips. First, learn and fully understand tenant laws. Also, be clear on tenant rights, including what you may be required to do in order to evict a tenant. Depending on where you live, you may need a court order or more to forcibly evict a tenant even if they stop paying rent. Consult with your tax pro. When converting a home from a primary residence to rental property, your tax deductions will change and the rent you receive must be reported as income. Screen potential tenants thoroughly, including rental payment history. Set up a separate bank account for finances related to your rental property, including security deposits and rental income and expenses. Finally, be sure you're ready for the demands of being a landlord, in addition to your job, family, and other obligations. If you're not sure, consider hiring a property management firm. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans,
credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
This is how we do it.
Hey KLEK, it's your girl Allie J, inviting you to come hang with us at Twilight Skate, January 15th for our 90s skate party. That's right, we're playing all your favorite 90s hits, jams, and classics in a special live broadcast on Facebook and KLEK 102.5 FM. It's only $5 to get in and $1.50 for skate rentals. Tuesday, January 15th from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. And if you missed it last time, here's your chance to come kick it with KLEK at Twilight Skate, 2700 Phillips Drive for a night of the 90s. This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
This is how we do it. It's Friday night.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com. Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by, attention members and guests, Blues, Live Band, and Southern Soul Showcase this Friday, December 28th, 8 p.m. till midnight at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse, 1025 West Johnson Avenue, Jonesboro, featuring Big Papa G.
I got the No Money Blues.
Pyramid City Band.
It's party time. It's party time.
And Lerone Powers.
What's the name of that thing?
More info, 870-530-3121.
This Christmas, Craighead County Circuit Clerk Candace Edwards hopes that you and yours will be touched by the real meaning of Christmas. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. As we remember the greatest gift of all, we wish you and your loved ones a blessed Christmas and a blessed New Year.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I can't thank my guests enough, Mrs. Emma Agnew and Mr. Cornelius Moore Jr., for joining me today for our conversation for our Kwanzaa edition, discussing Ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. So as we get ready to wrap up our discussion, I want to read a few resolutions. And again, I posted the link of this website on the Facebook live feed. It is livingforbliss.wordpress.com. And the resolutions state, I will continue to assume responsibility for my own future. I will not depend upon others to provide for me. That's where the personal responsibility comes in. I will continue to enable others to build their own destinies through education and hard work. I will continue to assist others to get on their feet. I will show others how. I will never diminish another's strength by doing things for them that they are capable of doing for themselves. I will continue to help those who cannot help themselves, but I will not weaken my community by enabling those who would not help themselves. So, I mean, we all know that there are those who just will not do, but those who are willing, let's help them. Let's give them a helping hand, not a handout, a helping hand.
Hand up, not a handout.
Yes,
Exactly.
ma'am. We have another Facebook comment. I want to say good morning to Mrs. Tony Walker, and then Mrs. Quinna says, you may want to consider having constant quarterly community forums to educate and empower others. I too am very busy but willing to help promote the change we want to see. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be in touch, Ms. Borders.
Absolutely. And I think for the most part, and that's why the collective work aspect has to be, the mindset is because a lot of us are busy with family and career and just, those personal things, pursuits in life. But if we can all say, collectively that we have to see something happen, then I think we'll be on the right path. Because I think the climate is we're not pleased with the way things going politically and as it pans out for our community. We see some progress and then we see some backpedaling and things like that. So what can we do to create those forums? And I think that's a really good thing, and involving the youth in these forums. Because we definitely want them to come back to the community once they, graduate high school, and go to college, and they, their college pursuits and things like that. We want them to be able to have the mind to give back once they leave. You definitely want to push them out to see the world, but
well, one of the issues that we have always had is communicating, and so that's why I am so grateful that KLEK is here.
Absolutely.
But our community, again, doesn't rally behind KLEK like it needs to. I mean, you talk about doing a community forum. The problem has always been, how do you get people to know about it? Yes. We don't have avenues like large cities like Memphis and Little Rock. And so if we would all rally behind KLEK and make it what it needs to be as far as sponsors and listeners, we could count on KLEK getting any word we wanted out. But as a community, we don't even rally around that. So you can talk about having a community forum, but the only way we know to do is, other than KLEK now, is to send it to churches.
Exactly.
Maybe. And what percentage of our community go to church? I mean, you reach a small percent.
It's a small percentage.
And then some of the churches may or may not get it in the announcements. And so you have a lot of unchurched who don't get it that way.
Right.
And so we just, we really got to figure this being able to communicate. If we're going to do something together, like, forums that matter, we can do a forum and have 15, 20 people there. But if we want to do something like forums that matter, where we got hundreds of folk coming out and doing their voice, we got to figure this communication thing out, Miss Border. So help us out with that.
All right.
All right. I'm looking forward to a wonderful 2019.
Absolutely.
I want to see us do greater things within this community and put self aside. Put your selfish ambitions aside. Let's come together and let's work together and build up each other and build up this community. I know we can do it.
All right, we can.
So this will
yes,
love to
we
see
can.
it start happening.
Obama said, yes, we can.
And those of us with the education and the know-how need to. That's where our strength lies, and those with the physical abilities, that's where your strength lies. So we all have different skill sets, and Cornelius, you mentioned this a little earlier. There are many organizations. Some may do some of the same work, but they do it a little differently.
Yes.
So they can still work together.
Partner. A common interest.
Yes.
We have to find that common interest.
We have to learn to partner.
Exactly. Partnership.
Trust each other. That's been our problem. We don't partner because we don't trust each other. You're going to steal what I got. Try to take
and that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother hour. It's dealing with trusting, one another. It's like.
All right, we have a couple more Facebook comments. Mr. Lachey Robinson says, "Say it, Queen E." And Mrs. Catherine says,
Lachey.
Catherine says, "Involving the youth in the conversation is a wonderful idea. Awesome job, guys. The conversation can be the start to something great." Well, thank you, Mrs. Moore. Yes, it is. We're going to be calling on you too. So anyway, everybody out there listening and watching, we're going to be calling on you. So don't turn me down when I hit you up on your email or your inbox.
All right.
But I want to thank you all for giving us your time today.
Absolutely.
And I want to remind everyone, join us tomorrow at the ASU Pavilion, 12 o'clock p.m. We will have our Kwanzaa Fellowship Luncheon. Come casual if you're an organization, a Greek organization. Wear your gear. It's totally casual and laid back. And have a few things lined up for our program, so come out and join the festivities and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues.